Thanks for that, Andrew. Again, welcome to CAS. My name is Charlie Statham. I've been here for about 4 years working in the career service. A bit about my background. I was a recruitment consultant for about 5 years, and then I moved in-house doing graduate recruitment. I worked in the engineering industry, I worked in the legal sector, and I was at a big bulge bracket American investment bank before I came here doing recruitment. So many of the people in our team have come from industry, and this is my colleague Sara, who's also got a background in industry.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Charlie said, I've come from industry myself. I've been with CAS for just over 2 years now. Prior to CAS, most of my experience has been in the oil and gas sector and various HR roles. Also done a little bit of retail banking and a tiny little bit of work in the voluntary sector as well. So as Andrew said, using all of that experience that we've kind of got within the team, hopefully to enhance kind of your experience through the career service. And just to kind of echo something that Andrew said, just to really illustrate kinds of key points throughout the recruitment cycle and to add in our own personal experiences as well.
So I guess what we want to do over the next hour, I wouldn't call this a workshop, as Andrew referred to it. What we want you to do is really start thinking about the job market and what you can do before you start your MSc, because you do need to start now. Don't leave it until you get here. So this is going to be an interactive session. We've got some videos to show you. We've got little clicker buttons in front of you if you're wondering what those are for. So there's some questions we want to get your responses.
Don't touch them yet.
Don't touch them yet, yeah.
Has everyone got one, by the way? Is anybody without a little grey box in front of them? Just by a show of hands. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good work. Good stuff.
If it works.
If it works.
If it works, right. So just to get a sense of in the room, who in the room is coming straight from an undergraduate degree, coming on to do their masters? Majority, half? Okay. Okay. And who in the room has got, say, 2 years plus experience and is coming to do their masters? Okay. Okay, so mixture. All right. So everything we do in careers, whether you're coming straight from undergrad and looking for your first role, maybe looking to get into a graduate scheme, or whether you're coming with experience, everything we do is relevant to you. It's not just all about grad schemes, right? So we're going to go through some slides. Okay, so first of all, first shout out really is what do you think the role of a career service is? Actually, before you answer that, who here who's coming from an undergraduate, who went to their career service? Who didn't go to their career service ever? Okay. I never went to mine, so don't worry about it. Okay, so what do you think the role of a career service is? This is a question for you.
Just basically guide you towards the correct career or give you specific guidelines or genre.
Okay, so this is to guide you, to help you, yeah? There's no wrong or right answer to this question.
It's not a test.
Yeah, it's not a test. Anything else? Yeah?
Prepare you for interviews?
Sorry?
Prepare you for interviews.
Prepare you for interviews, yeah, we do that, yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
I use them to double check personal statements.
Yeah, yeah, so CVs, cover letters, yeah, yeah. Information, yeah, we can find it, yeah.
Definitely signpost you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Help you with networking.
Help you with networking, yeah.
It's a key theme that we'll run through our presentation today around the importance of networking in job search.
Yeah, we do all of that and hopefully a little bit more. And as and when you get here, you'll hear a lot from us, particularly during the induction process. And in fact, even before the induction process, we're going to talk about some of the things, how you can use the career service beforehand. But next, we're going to show you a little video, first of our 3 videos today. Where's the sound gone?
There it is.
At CAS, the Career Service is here to help advise and guide you through the recruitment process right throughout the year. And we would strongly encourage you to get involved with careers right from day one.
It's a really competitive recruitment market, and our professional development programme really supports students to make a really good impact, or actually to develop an edge when talking to employers. We also work with students to enhance the critical skills that they need and the employers say they want when they actually get into roles.
The kind of things that we do with students are one-to-one sessions, so there we might go through someone's CV or an application form, or it might just be giving general careers advice if they're not sure what route they want to go down. We also do a lot of workshops, so we cover things like CVs, assessment centres, networking skills, and a whole host of other areas.
I think it's very important for the students to engage with the career service as soon as possible, essentially to be able to meet the application for job placement on time. Those are normally in November and December.
If you come and see us before you submit those applications, then we can help you and make sure you're down the right lines. We can talk to you about the pitfalls to avoid when it comes to the various stages of the recruitment processes and the sort of skills that you want to demonstrate.
Career Service offers a number of workshops that help them with their own employability skills, soft skills like communication skills and job interview skills, preparation of the CVs.
These are the skills that employers are telling us are crucial to make their business work. They're vital whichever industry, whichever company you're going into.
The careers team also offer one-to-one sessions with a dedicated MSc career relationship manager who can support them in their own job search strategy.
I attended telephone interview workshop, networking workshop. It's how to build your personal brand, and I would say that the team building, networking, relationship management, stakeholder management, I think all these skill sets have not just helped me achieve my career goals, but I would say that I'm using all these skills day to day at my work, and I think the whole experience has been just fantastic.
At CAS, throughout the year, there's a whole range of opportunities for students to engage with employers. They come do presentations, they come to the careers fair. Also, we get some really interesting speakers coming to talk about what's going on in the world today and how they've been successful in whatever career path they've chosen. I would recommend students go to as many of these as possible. They can learn a lot, not just about the application process and how companies recruit, but also they can learn a lot about why these people have been successful.
The careers team also organise the careers fair for the students. These happen essentially as soon as the students join CAS. This is the first opportunity for the students to meet a potential employer. And the careers team is there to support them, and of course they are always available for any further questions the students might have.
It's very important that the students take their career development seriously. It's a very, very competitive market out there, and students need to make the right impression right from day one. So whether that's coming to an event or whether that's their CV, it's so important they get it right.
Attend all the workshops and look at all the opportunities available with the careers team. Build up all these employability skills, which are not just going to help you to grab a great offer, but also going to help you all throughout your professional life.
Okay. Well, hopefully that short video gave you an idea of what we do as a career service, the range of services that we have on offer for you guys, but also kind of highlighting some of the importance of some of the things that you can engage with and the importance of that throughout your time here at CAS. So what we're going to do now, as Charlie said before, we're going to kind of move into, I guess, something that's just, I guess, a little bit of fun, a little bit of interaction. Potentially we'll be testing on how much you listened in that video as well, and take you through, I guess, a series of key points that we think are kind of important for you guys to know before you arrive. So this is the point when you can pick up the clickers that are in front of you. And just to make sure that the technology is working, just going to do a couple of test questions. So I'd like you to respond. Which of these landmarks is not in the square mile within the City of London?
So we are actually in the square mile. For those of you who don't know the City of London, the square mile is the area that we're in at the moment. So click 1, 2, 3 or 4.
Click away, okay, 8, 4, 8, 6. A couple of you still unsure. It's all right, we don't know who's responded when, so this actually isn't really like a test. We're going to march you around the City of London and give you a geography test after this. Okay, let's see if it's worked. answer was number 4. Number 4 is the City Bank headquarters based in Canary Wharf. And yeah, over half got that right. Maybe, you know, this afternoon, some of you might want to have a little walk around the City of London, taking some of the sights.
Does anyone know what's this building? Lloyd's. Yeah. Anyone who's doing insurance needs to know that building. That one?
That's obvious.
Gherkin, yeah. This
Easy.
one? Walkie-talkie that's being built at the moment. Yeah.
Delightful piece of architecture. Next one, this one should be pretty hopefully easy, which is the closest underground station at Cass.
We all got on it today, or often.
Yeah. Survey says Moorgate. Oh.
Who got off at King's Cross today?
There is a tube station closer, the Liverpool Street at King's Cross, which is great news for you guys when you are on your way to lecture. It is, of course, Moorgate, located about 0.2 of a mile down the road. Okay, so now we're kind of moving into the serious element of the presentation. Well, not really, but... Okay, how many workshops do you think that the careers team ran during the first term this academic year? So that is, it's a guess, you don't know.
So this is during October, November, well, September, October, November.
The answer is... 93. About a quarter. So yeah, we ran 93 different workshops in the first academic term this year. And hopefully from that short video that we showed you, some of the workshops that we do here at Cass. So as Charlie mentioned during your induction, you will have scheduled in a workshop that looks at creating a compelling CV and application forms, just because the bulk of, for those of you who are applying to a graduate schemes, is kind of a key point in the year, around about September to November, when you will be making those applications. We, again, pretty much everything. I don't think there's anything sort of highly unusual sort of within that. So everything from, you know, effective presentation skills for those of you who are perhaps, you know, slightly more experienced, and you might feel that you might not need the support from some of the workshops, something certainly that we do on a daily basis as part of the careers team, and which is very common in a lot of roles now, is the ability to stand up and actually give a kind of a powerful and compelling presentation. Again, run a workshop on that. Some of the other things as well, as you'd have picked up from the video, we do one-to-one coaching. So each course, you'll have a relationship manager, a dedicated relationship manager. So I look after energy and shipping with trade and finance. I'll also probably be looking after any people coming into supply chain, and you also currently look after investment management. Charlie's more or less everything else. Yeah, no,
so I look after any real estates in here, real estate investment. Okay, so you've got me. Real estate investments, finance, corporate finance, banking, international finance, finance and investments. I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. But, and then we have a couple of other colleagues who look after the other courses as well. So you are all looked after by a dedicated relationship manager.
And within that piece, we obviously do the one-to-one coaching with you guys as well. But we also partner with organisations within that specific remit. So Charlie partners with a lot of recruiters in financial organisations and institutions. And obviously the same with myself in sort of energy and shipping.
The quants, 3 quant courses, I look after those.
One. As the video showed, we obviously have a careers fair. That's quite early in the year. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. As Charlie said in the video as well, plenty of company presentations on campus. Now, a lot of these presentations might not necessarily be recruitment focused, but as our advice would be, is just try and attend as many as possible. I think from a couple of perspectives, and one in terms of developing a commercial awareness of what's happening in the industry at the minute. I think that's kind of a really key factor in terms of the knowledge that you'll gain from attending that. We've just got some really interesting people who've had really interesting backgrounds. I think it's always interesting to see, you know, if there's somebody doing something that you would like to do in the future, just to hear their story about how they got there and kind of where they've come from. Last but not least, careers resources. So you'll have a wealth of resources at your fingertips when you get on campus at Cass. We have a number of different resources if, for example, you're interested in going into consulting. We've got searchable databases on companies. We've got practice psychometric tests, I guess you name it. And if there's something that you're not sure that we do have, please just come and ask. I guess our door is always open. So yeah, please do drop in and ask. I think I'm passing over to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so video number 2.
Get away lightly with speaking.
Yeah. So the careers fair we've mentioned. So the careers fair, before I just show the video, the careers fair takes place on September the 22nd this year. So it's during your induction period, it's before lectures start. And the reason we hold it so early, so quite often we get asked, why do you hold it so early? Because, maybe at that point in time you're not sure, exactly what it is you want to do. The reason we hold it so early is because it fits in with when the recruiters are recruiting. So a lot of the application forms, and we'll go through some questions later on about application forms and when they open. The reason we hold that early is because it fits in with the recruiting deadlines and timelines. So. We hold our annual careers fair at the beginning of each academic year as part of the induction process. And really it's the first time that students will get to engage with employers whilst at the CAS. Typically we'll have somewhere between 60 and 70 employers.
Well, we've currently got quite a few opportunities for graduates. We have a number of graduate schemes, be it in retail banking, commercial banking, corporate banking, investment banking and operations as well.
I've literally just this morning placed the last graduate into a full-time position as a placement finish with us today, in fact.
So last year, for a graduate role in finance, we had around 1,500 applicants, and we took just 2 people from those 1,500. So it's quite a competitive market at the moment, yeah.
I would say on average we get about 5,000 applications for our graduate programme, which has 20 places. So it's important for each applicant to make sure they fill out their application form correctly, no spelling mistakes, and all of the up-to-date details.
My best advice to people really is to keep their CV short, concise and consistent. Same with their application form.
Be as dependable as you can, really sort of sell themselves and try and promote the fact that they have a mindset rather than a skill set. Skills can be very much taught, whereas mindset is something a candidate really needs to have and needs to develop themselves.
Have a little think about what might be important to us, have a little look at what's in the news, and try and bring some external knowledge into the discussions you're having.
Some guys have clearly done their research when they're coming up today and able to talk to you in quite a bit of detail about what Cushman & Wakefield are involved in. And I always think that's very impressive.
Students should present themselves in a professional way. They're now at business school, it's not university. All the recruiters who will be attending, they're dressed in professional dress, and we would expect the same from them.
My impression so far at this graduate fair has been in keeping with previous years, a high degree of enthusiasm, capability, insightful questions, and general intelligent inquiry, which is very welcome.
I think that the most important thing that you can find from today is that you can meet the recruiters and you can ask questions which normally you cannot find information online.
Today I've seen CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield, Jones Lang LaSalle, all the big kind of corporate real estate firms that are kind of relevant to my course and progression in my career.
The great thing about the CAS Careers Fair is that it's a great mix of current students and alumni. So I know that the careers team are very proud of the fact that they still have alumni coming back, currently in jobs, still looking for further experiences. It's always great to talk to new students, and they come with very diligent questions, very researched.
I did my bachelor's class business school as well, 2 years ago. That's when I graduated, and I mean, what I've seen today is high caliber.
I always look forward to coming to CAS career fairs because of all the career fairs that I do attend, this is an event where I do see a lot of energy and enthusiasm and bright people with bright futures ahead of themselves, and it's great to see that energy in the building. And I've had a long track record of recruiting CAS graduates because those are precisely the attributes that I'm looking for.
The careers event as a whole is a great place in getting in touch with the human side of companies.
If I were to come up with one word that would sum up what I would be looking for as the core quality of a good applicant, it would be innovation.
One word, Willis looks for someone that's passionate.
Integrity. Ambition.
Commitment.
Enthusiastic, I'd have to say.
Today's gone really well. I think we've had over 800 students through the door, which is fantastic. We've had 67 top employers here, all who've come because they want to talk to CAS students.
You don't need to listen at the end of that lovely piece of music there on the end. So yeah, I hope from that kind of video you kind of get a sense of the expectation on you guys as well when you come to the careers fair in September. So you'll obviously everybody's there in professional dress, which we will again expect of you, but also in terms of the preparation that students do beforehand, before you guys actually get there and get some face-to-face time with those recruiters. So we will put together a nice, very comprehensive guide to the careers fair when you guys arrive here in September. And that'll just give you an idea of which companies are going to be attending in the final list, and also just a little bit of information around about that company. I think one of the biggest bugbears of a lot of recruiters at careers fairs is students coming up to them and asking, so what do you do as a company? It doesn't make the greatest first impression, I would say. So these are some of the companies that have already signed up for our fair in September. As you can see, there's kind of some big names in there as well, but also what we try and draw your attention to is perhaps some of the companies that you may not have thought about applying to, particularly things like finance or supply chain schemes. So I guess for the likes of Tesco, I assume everybody knows who Tesco is. There's one on the corner. How can you not? We'll all have, very, very big finance graduate schemes where you can gain an absolutely sort of fantastic experience as well. So as I said, research companies, look at them, and I guess that's one of the things that you can also do over the summer as well. So as Charlie said now, there's things that you can tangibly be doing. And I would definitely recommend for some of you, if you know that you want to go into a particular area, start researching those companies now. Do your background research on them, because when it comes time to apply, you'll have that information there already and ready to go.
Yeah. So we've actually now got about 64, I think as of today, 64 companies signed up for the Careers Fair. And what we'll be doing is we're going to be, we're launching a new Careers Facebook page for the MSc students. And on that Facebook page, we'll be announcing people who are coming to the fair, so you can then go and research those companies. There will also be a list of the companies on the induction website as well, which I think you get once you paid a deposit, I think. So there'll be lots of ways of finding out who the companies are way before you get here. Okay. So, another question. When was the first application opening date for an autumn 2014 start date? So, this is going back a year. When do you think the first application opening date was? I guess the point of this slide and the next slide is really to say this is why we hold the Careers Fair in September, why we hold it so early. Okay, have we only got 103? Is that right?
Yeah, about right, yeah.
Okay, and the correct answer was number 2.
So effectively next week.
Yeah.
This time last year, next week.
So traditionally what used to happen in graduate recruitment was that everybody would open up on the 1st September, and that just doesn't happen anymore. Everyone is opening earlier and earlier, and there are some schemes that are going continually all year round. So it's really important to start thinking about, don't leave it until you get here or even until the end of the course. Start thinking now about what is it that I want to do? What companies am I going to want to apply to? And start doing your research. Okay, so following on from that, when do you think the first application closing date for an autumn 2013 start date was? So this is the closing date. So if it opened in July, if it was this one, it's a different one. Okay. And the answer was?
17th of September. That was for a Deutsche Bank analyst programme last year.
Okay. Did anyone, I don't want to scare you here, but did anybody see in the news this week how many applications Morgan Stanley got globally for their summer internship programme this year?
Shout out guesses, come on.
Have a guess.
I like a bit of interaction.
20,000.
How many?
20,000.
20,000.
This is globally for their summer internship programme.
200.
Down a bit.
Ooh.
Down a bit.
Yeah.
It's not quite that bad.
54,363.
You're right.
Up.
No.
No, they got 90,000. 90,000 applications for the summer internship programme globally. So the importance of getting your applications in early, doing your research, getting your applications correct, is so important. And this is just a timeline that we put together that we use. So networking, you're going to hear a lot about networking. How many? We're going to get into some LinkedIn stuff later on, but just out of interest, how many people in the room have a LinkedIn profile? Is anyone brave enough to put their hand up and say they don't yet have a LinkedIn profile? A couple. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
fine.
So it's key, right? These days you need to get your LinkedIn profile, and you'll hear a lot about LinkedIn and why it's important. But networking, LinkedIn is just one part of networking, but it's an important part. So networking, going out and talking to people, finding out what's going on out there in the industry, talking to people in the industry you want to work in, speaking to alumni. There's so many different ways you can do it. Coming along to an event, hearing someone speak, talking to them afterwards, asking questions, just building up that knowledge is really, really important. And that's an ongoing thing. It never stops.
Yeah, I think it's quite important as well, just to say that network isn't asking people for jobs kind of on a first meeting basis as well. And it's certainly not kind of giving a CV application or cover letter as well, kind of one of those first meetings. It's a slightly longer game in terms of, the recruitment process, but very effective.
Yeah. So next on here was preparing for applying. So again, this is just the message we're trying to get across to you is start thinking about it now. Then you're going to be actively applying for jobs from any time really from July onwards, with deadlines hitting in sort of September, October, November normally if you're applying for graduate programs. We run, and because of when the deadlines are, so we run a lot of our things up front during term one, so it fits in with the recruitment timeline. So things like CV workshops, application form workshops, assessment centres we do a little bit later towards the end of the term, so it fits in with the recruitment timeline. And then you also, once the deadlines finish, you then start moving into having to do assessment centres, doing and going for interviews. So our workshops tend to fit around when firms typically do those. And for those of you that aren't perhaps looking for graduate programs, but have some experience, it's likely, although you should be doing the networking thing throughout your time on the course, it's likely actually in terms of when you're going to start your recruiting, we would normally say about 2 or 3 months, when you're going to start your job search, it's probably going to be about 2 or 3 months before the end of the course, because that's when recruiters know that you're going to be available. Yeah?
Yeah, I think as well, as much as we've talked about graduate programs as well, for those of you if you're looking for kind of graduate level vacancies, graduate programs aren't the only route into market as well. I think that's a really important thing to say. So as much as we've hopefully not terrified you with those dates and the numbers of applications, there are other routes into that market. But I think I would say if you do want to join a JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley and the like sort of on one of their graduate analyst schemes, then you very much have to kind of start now in terms of your research and applications.
Okay, so we're going to do a couple of stats. So every year I run a piece of research looking at where our students from the previous year, what they're doing, how they're getting on. So we've got a couple of stats we're going to use from that. So what percentage of CAS alumni who responded to our destination data survey found their current job through personal contacts and networking? We want to press the button. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So majority went for the 56. The actual it was a little bit lower. I was actually expecting that number to be higher, but still, the majority of people probably get their roles through roles they've actually seen advertised, applying for things like graduate programs rather than networking. But again, a third of them are finding jobs through personal contacts and networking. So it's just really trying to get the message across of how important it is. So yes, you're going to be applying for things you see advertised, but also at the same time you should be going out there and talking to people.
Is there any shippers in the room this afternoon? Anyone on the shipping, trade and finance? A couple? Yeah, a few. Typically what I tend to see from the data from this as well, that in a couple of industries, particularly shipping, because of the nature of it, that tends to be a little bit higher as well, around about the sort of 40 to 50% mark every year as well. And that sometimes is just due to the nature of the industry.
Okay. Who was the top employer of CAS students from the class of 2012-13? Okay. Right. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, next answer was EY. So would you go for Bloomberg? Is that because they're based just around the corner? Does everyone go for?
Literally on the side of the
right.
world. Yeah.
They are, yeah. You will see Bloomberg around this area quite a lot. Michael Bloomberg actually wanted the square that they're on, he wanted it renamed as Bloomberg Square, but he was told by the council he couldn't, which is part of the reason they're moving buildings. So, right. So, okay. So this is looking at, for the last 3 years, so the classes of 10, 11, 11, 12 and 12, 13, where they've ended up in terms of who the top employers are. So this is last year's, and what you'll notice is that the big four, EY, PwC, KPMG and Deloitte, appear pretty much in all of them near the top. And part of the reason for that is they just recruit far more than anyone else. Anybody want to have a guess? For the year before this, 2009-10, who was the top employer? It wasn't one of the big four. Anybody want to have a guess?
I should know this.
Not accounting firm, no. RBS? It was RBS, yeah. RBS was our top employer of CAS students. Where are they today, eh? Anyway. So anyway, there's a lot of big names there, but actually, students from CAS, they end up all over the world in working for all kinds of different firms. And a lot of them, those of you on things like marketing and management, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people have their own businesses. So this is just a snapshot of where people end up.
Okay, back to the clickers. What percentage of UK graduate roles are based in London? Do you think? Yep. What did we think? We thought number 1, 63. This is going to become as a massive disappointment to you all. The answer is actually number 3, 50%. So 50% of all graduate positions are advertised in the UK. 50% of them, roughly every year, will be based in London. The point I wanted to make with this slide is not only that, when you think about certain companies like GlaxoSmithKline, BP, where are Google headquartered now? Are they in Dublin?
Yeah.
Just to highlight that not all companies are going to be based in London. So something that I guess anecdotally that we see every year, that a lot of students, I'd probably say over 90% of students, want that London experience on their CV. And yeah, that's great, but there are opportunities kind of elsewhere, outside, and in regional offices. So interestingly, JP Morgan always struggle to recruit people into their Bournemouth office. Bournemouth is 2 hours on the train outside of London.
It's beautiful, it's on the beach, best beach in Britain.
Charlie went to university.
I went to university there, so I know. Has a very good nightlife.
Yeah. Okay, and in contrast then, what % of graduates want to work in London? It's not 100% on there. Not all of them do.
Are these AGR figures?
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I just should have done this the other way around, actually. 80%. Well, probably actually is a little bit higher, but 67%, it's still pretty high. So you're kind of looking at that disparity between there's about 50% of graduate opportunities, if that's what you're interested in London, versus, you know, a significantly higher number of students kind of wanting to work in the area. And again, just to illustrate the point of, you know, London isn't the only place that you're going to get that kind of great experience on your CV. So typically, you know, there's, well, I would say there's 50% of, so you can't probably see this very well at the back, 50% based in London in the southeast, so the area of Bournemouth that we're talking about, JP Morgan opportunities, where they struggle to recruit into is down here. Obviously fewer opportunities in the northwest and Scotland, but again you will find for places like Morgan Stanley, you've got offices in Glasgow, for example. It's about, you know, what's important to you. Is that experience, is it more the experience of the company that's important, or is that geographical location and that kind of push-pull factor?
Yeah, I mean, just an example of this, yesterday I had a call from, so for the real estaters, who I think are all over there, I had a call from DTZ yesterday saying they were looking for people up in their Edinburgh and Glasgow offices. So there are,
beautiful city, Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Very nice. And I think as well, probably quite importantly, if any of you are thinking about going to work in the Big Four kind of consultancy, the chances are, while you will be based in London, if you're out on a client site, that could be anywhere in that region as well anyway. So it's just more food for thought, I guess, on that point for you guys. Okay. How many CVs or application forms on average were submitted for each advertised graduate job in 2013? This is across all industries. This isn't just banking and finance. This is fast-moving commercial goods. This is marketing, PR, advertising. Yep, very good. What did we think? We thought 385. You're a bright bunch of people, because you're right. It's 85 applications on average per graduate vacancy. From the figures that we use from the Association of Graduate Recruiters, that's increased from 73 last year. So as I'm sure you'll have got conveyed from the videos, competition for graduate places is very intense. But I think what's important within that as well is what we're seeing is a certain increase and decline in the number of overall vacancies in some sectors. So I think accounting, finance, interestingly consultancy, we're expected to see an increase in the number of graduate vacancies. For some of you, it might not be any surprise that the numbers of investment banking are actually coming down by a couple of percent in terms of the overall number of vacancies that are available within that sector. Is anybody actually interested in FMCG? No, good. You're looking at around about, not good. You're looking at around about 211 applications per job there. So again, this is just coming back to the point of your CV, your application form, making that first impression with the recruiter is very key, and it's good to kind of get it right the first time. I think what we try and avoid, is which unfortunately what I've seen a couple of times this week, is students come in with applications that they've already submitted to an employer and they come back and say, I got rejected, why? There's nothing that we can do to advise or help you at that stage. I mean, yes, we can advise you kind of moving forward, but do try and come and see us beforehand, even if it is just a quick check to say it's absolutely fine. Yeah. This is Charlie's speciality.
So we talked about LinkedIn very briefly. We're going to show you a little LinkedIn video in a minute. They produce some really good videos, so it's quite a fun one. But what percentage of all job openings globally are posted on LinkedIn? This is a LinkedIn stat. So what percentage of all job openings globally? Okay. Yeah. They are becoming a really, really powerful tool. I spent a day at the LinkedIn London offices last week, and they're really pushing for your market at the moment. So they're putting a lot of information on there for people at business schools. If you look at how the CAS alumni page, if you go onto the CAS LinkedIn page now, it's different than it was a couple of months ago. There's a lot more information, a lot more better ways of accessing people in different industries, find out what kind of jobs they're doing. So if you go where you've studied your undergraduates, go and look at your university LinkedIn pages. There's loads of information there. Right. So this is a LinkedIn video. It is an American video. It's very American. But I think it makes a point.
If you're watching this, chances are good you want to get a job. You want to go from student to rising star, and you want to avoid eating the same meal over and over and over again. Good news, you're in the right place. That's right, LinkedIn. It's not just for top executives. It's not just for old people with heavy briefcases. It's for you, and it's the perfect place for you to start your professional story. Say you want to get a job in New York City. You've never been there before, but that's okay because you have LinkedIn on your side. You start by creating your profile. You give it love because you know it's what recruiters are looking for day and night. It's your resume that never sleeps. It's your flashing neon sign that says, hire me, for the love of all that is good in this world, hire me. Then you start making connections. Alumni working in New York? Yes. Recruiters at top companies in New York? Yes. Your mom's best friend? Yes. You start imagining whose shoes you want to walk in. You think, wow, this is a lot of deep stuff to consider. You shake yourself out of it and start searching for jobs. Whoa, that's a lot of jobs for students. Time to get down to business. You start to tailor your profile. You start applying. You feel empowered, in control, like you should be CEO. That gives you an idea. You look up all the CEOs of all the companies you want to work at. You see one of them went to your university. Then it hits you. You see a clear path from campus to career. You feel like you can see the future. You wonder if you're psychic. Should you start a hotline? No, back to plan A. You keep tailoring and connecting and applying, and before you know it, you start getting responses. First a few, then more, then an interview, and then you're hired. And that's when the real learning begins.
But I think it makes a couple of really good points. Okay, so this is for those of you who perhaps have a little bit more experience. How many applications received for every experienced higher position in the UK across all industries? Slightly better news story than graduates. Okay, where are we at? 90, a couple more people, not sure. Okay. What did we think? Oh, great news for you. 32. Yeah. This is obviously UK labour market statistics, and to be honest with you, depending on who you read and what you read, it can be quite difficult to kind of see through the fog sometimes in terms of, sometimes it is kind of, sort of bad news headlines. But I think in the UK, the last statistics we had, on average, around about 32 applications for every role. That's still 31 people that I guess you've got to get past and prove your ability to recruit it with. I have, however, and again, this does change across industries, have heard some rumours, and I'm sure you guys probably have as well. Google, an average a week, apparently, globally. Does anybody hazard a guess at how many CVs they receive? 1, 2, 10. About 75,000, apparently. So yes, you can see there might be quite a large disparity between kind of certain industries and certain companies. Again, this just comes back to kind of making your applications and making yourself a competitive candidate in the workplace. Okay, next question. Almost 9 out of 10 Britain's leading graduate employers are failing to fill vacancies. And surprisingly, yes, at this time of year, what we tend to see is that some companies, you will see them potentially go back out to tender, for candidates because they don't have any in their existing pool. So how many, or what's the reason, that we don't think that they're filling those positions? Hope you're noticing a theme amongst what we're saying. No. Okay. What did we think? 50, 90% of you were absolutely correct, poor quality of applications. You wouldn't believe some of the stories that I've seen myself, Charlie's seen myself, some of the stories that year in, year out that we hear from recruiters, people applying for Merrill Lynch. I really want to work for Credit Suisse because, and you will not believe that how many times that actually happens. And you think, it's not me, I won't make that mistake. Check and recheck those applications when you send them off. That also comes back to a point about mass producing. Interestingly, we were speaking to some alum students at the back end of last year, and in terms of things like research for applications and cover letters, one of them said that the most traction that they got on applications was where they were applying to perhaps a desk in an investment bank. They'd research the desk, they'd research a recent deal that they'd done, and they'd reference the people who'd done the deal. That's the depth of research that you have to go into for these applications. It's not good enough to say, I want to work for you because you're a large global organisation and I'll get fantastic exposure. You have to dig deeper than that at this stage.
Okay, so I'm just going to flick through. Okay. So we said that the reason why employers aren't filling their vacancies is because the quality is not good enough. What kind of mistakes do you think people are making on their CVs? Why are employers saying this? Irrelevant, yeah?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly on cover letters, where in the job description they're asking for somebody who's a good team player, good communicator, and great analytics, and somebody's harped on for half a page about what great leadership skills that they've got. Yeah, keep it relevant.
What else?
Consistency.
Consistency?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could be having some things on their CVs that then employers do look at your LinkedIn profile. So if they look at your LinkedIn profile and they see, okay, well, they say they've done that, but on here it's not on there. Yeah, so inconsistencies, yeah. What else? Too desperate.
There is sometimes
I saw a cover letter yesterday from a current student who said, I tell the truth here, his opening line was, I want to work for your company because I'm desperate for a job. Yeah. So, potentially too desperate, yes. What else? What else might a recruiter reject your CV? Too general? Yeah. Yeah? So not specific enough. So one of the things that, when you come and see us, one of the things when we're going through things like particularly cover letters and application forms, one of the things we really try and drum is, you've got to make it specific to that particular organisation and that job. You can't make it too general. So you can't copy and paste, you can't mass produce these things. They take time and you've got to spend time getting it right. What else? There's one other thing, major thing why people get rejected.
Too obvious.
Hmm?
Too obvious.
Too obvious? What do you mean by too obvious?
Use of all these sentences you may see in the other.
Generic, yeah.
Yeah, generic, yeah. Presentation,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're applying, yeah. Relevant experience, yeah. Spelling mistakes. Spelling and grammar, yeah. If you are the recruiter at Morgan Stanley and you've got 90,000 applications to get through, you're going to be looking for ways to filter those people out. And if you can find spelling mistakes, it's a very easy way for your CV to end up in the reject pile. So getting it right, putting that effort in, getting it right is so important. And on the induction website, which I think is up, yes, you'll find on there things like our CV guidelines, our cover letter guidelines as well. And that can help you. It can help you start preparing your CV right now. Okay.
Okay, the last bit's just kind of around about that first impression that you make with that employer. You've put on your suit, you've researched the companies to death. But yeah, how many impressions does it take to overcome a bad first impression? So if you meet one of those employers at the fair, you don't know anything about their company. Any more? Couple more. Yeah, okay. So a bit of a mix there. Unfortunately, it's not 3. It's about 9. There's been quite a lot of research done into this. So, but realistically, I think this point as well, to make it realistically, when you're meeting recruiters, when you're meeting people from companies, you aren't going to have another 9 chances to make a good first impression. So it's kind of round about what do you do in order to kind of make that first good impression on somebody. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say to you now is invest in a suit if you haven't got one, right? Because you are, as I said right at the beginning, you're now at business school, you're not at university anymore. So when you come along to the careers fair, if you're not wearing a suit, we won't let you in. It's as simple as that. All the business people there, they will all be wearing suits, we'll be wearing suits, and we will expect you to wear suits as well. So when you go for an interview, the chances are you're going to be wearing a suit. So invest in a suit now. It's really, really important. It's about creating that good first impression.
I think I may have already alluded to this slightly. What is the most common mistake people make at the interview? So this is the test of whether you've listened to me and Charlie for the past half an hour. Not really. Hour. Is it going to be 100%?
You're not listening.
So this is an interview stage, yeah. Obviously, as we've just said, yeah, dressing appropriately, yeah, absolutely. And you wouldn't believe I guess, even just kind of recruiting for people here, people who don't turn up appropriately dressed for an interview, but it's not enough knowledge on the company. So unfortunately, every year at the careers fair, we will be there, we are walking around, we're listening to what's happening, we're speaking to recruiters about what's happening on the day. And I would say, on occasion, you do hear a student ask that question of, well, what does your company do? And I guess at that stage, again, going back to that point about making not the right first kind of impression, you need to, I think it was evident from the careers fair video as well, that recruiters want you to have done your research, and that's actually quite impressive for them as well when you have. I think, it's not just, interview stage as well, but, it's just one of the common things that recruiters in general find frustrating. So careers fairs, at interviews, at any period kind of when you kind of come into time.
So if you go along to any presentation or any interview you have, if you know the name of the person that's interviewing you, or you know the name of the person who's doing the presentation, go and have a look at their LinkedIn profile, see whether they've got a Twitter account, see what their interests are, see what they're talking about. Because it's a really good way to start that interaction with them if you know a little bit about them. It's not stalking them, it's different.
It's kind of a little bit, but professional stalking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so not enough knowledge about the company. How many societies do we have here at CAS? It's a guess, really. Could have none, could have 100. Good guess, guys. We've got around about 50 to 60 societies every year, and this ranges from everything that's kind of academically focused. So there's M&A Society, Shipping and Commodity Society, Real Estate Society. They put on a conference every year, kind of in the second semester. We also have things like Toastmasters. No, I wish there was a society called Toastmasters. Be president of it. Toastmasters. So it's again potentially looking at things where you may feel that you have a little bit of a skills gap on your CV. If you're not the most confident person getting up and being able to stand and speak in front of people, that through the recruitment process, that's something that you're going to have to do in your job. That's something that you're going to have to do. Joining a society like that to kind of bridge that kind of skills gap. And Toastmasters, I think you're given a topic and you pretty much have to stand up and talk to people in a room full of people. So it's building that confidence. I think another really key thing as part of kind of being part of a club and society as well is to really demonstrate your passion and your interests. So employers do look at that little extra bit that nobody pays attention to on the bottom of the CV underneath additional information and hobbies and interests. If you can put on there that you're investing some of your own money and you're applying to an investment bank, or you're applying to an M&A position and you've been the chair of the M&A Society, to a recruiter, that really signals that you're passionate and interested in that area. So it's just something else to think about as well.
Yeah. And every year the list of societies changes. So if there's not a society, but there's something that you're really passionate about and you get a few people together and go, look, we want to form a society. We have a colleague who sits upstairs called Leon, who's there to really help and support you, and CAS is very supportive of all the societies to get them up and running.
Oh, get those happy society members there. Yeah. Okay, so we are wrapping up our fantastic presentation. So really, this is kind of hopefully just to summarise everything that we've talked about over sort of the past hour. What can you do now in order to prepare before you guys get here in September? So yeah, use your summer wisely, please. As we've talked about, start building your network. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, 3 people, get a LinkedIn profile. There's tons of information on LinkedIn under the kind of the student hub part of there, about how to build a profile that's for your goals, how to start using alumni networks. So while you might not be a student at CAS now, you will have all come from an undergraduate course as well. Start looking at your alumni there and building your network there.
You could also reach out to, so have a look on there. So the courses that you're going to be doing, look at where alumni from CAS are now, who've done those courses. Reach out to them, drop them, send them a message saying, I'm about to start the course. I'm really interested in what you do. Have you got a chance for a quick phone call or a quick cup of coffee or whatever? Start reaching out to them.
Appreciate it's kind of quite late in the summer, getting quite close to September when you guys will join us. So if you can, try and get some work experience, even if it's for a couple of weeks work shadowing. And again, in your chosen sector over the summer, I would say it doesn't necessarily have to be in that chosen sector. I mean, I think, Charlie, you spoke to a guy at JP Morgan who looked for people who'd had bar experience, who'd work in cafes because they'd had that really at the very forefront of customer service experience. And if you don't have any customer service experience on your CV, you know that you're going to be working in or you want to work in a customer-facing role. Can you demonstrate that on your CV?
It was actually a true case. So I was working at Merrill Lynch before I came here. So I was looking after the sales and trading area, particularly on the equity side, doing recruitment for that team. And the guy who was the head of the Pan-European sales desk said to me, look, we want to hire some equity sales guys. But what I don't want is anyone who's done another investment banking internship. I want people who've worked in coffee shops, who've worked in bars, who've actually had to deal with customers because they've got those customer service skills. So much as you may not think that experience is relevant, it's how you put it on your CV and how you sell an interview in terms of the skills that you gain that's really important.
As we've already mentioned, try and identify recruiters in your chosen sector as well. So there's a ton of resources online, particularly at the graduate level. So your Milk Ground Prospects, Inside Careers website. And check things like opening dates. So following companies on LinkedIn, on things like social media, Twitter, Facebook. Signing up for email alerts from the companies as well. So you know when that application date's open and when you can kind of submit it. So you should now have access to the induction website, and on there you'll find some links to our recommendations on how you prepare a UK business CV. And again, try and highlight key strengths and achievements, try and tailoring that to the industry that you're interested in. And start drafting your applications now. And again, I guess that really goes back to the research point. So research does take a lot of time. That's a given at the level that you'll need to do it for some applications. So if you start now, I guess that's going to save you a little bit of time when you start term 1 because you're going to be so busy. Yeah.
And one thing I would add to that also is that we are around over the summer. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get ahead of the competition before everyone else arrives here at the beginning in September, feel free to contact us so we can start helping with your CVs and your application forms.
So again, just to kind of reiterate, you've got the Careers Fair coming up on the 22nd of September. We'll give you some more detail about that, obviously, closer to the time. You've obviously got the induction website where you find the CV template guidelines and other kind of advice and guidance from us as well. And as Charlie mentioned, but this is frozen. Excellent. Well, at least it broke on the last slide, so that's fine. We've got a Facebook page as well where we're going to be kind of putting up sort of links in terms of when companies are confirming that they're coming to the fair. We're going to try and give some kind of our insights into industries and sectors. So we'll be doing one for energy and shipping across the summer. And the last thing was, what was the last thing? Was that it?
Q&A.
Q&A. Oh yeah, that is the last slide. Obviously Q&A. Yeah. Trying to get out of that one. Obviously, we'll be around. We'll be around for coffee. If anyone's got any kind of general questions that they'd like to ask now. Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to break the ice here. Like a lot of the career fair that we just heard are targeting at graduates.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so the majority of the employers that will be coming to the careers fair will be looking for graduates. But what I would say is that we open the careers fair for our MBAs to come as well, don't we?
We do.
And I think the key point of that is your research. So again, if you say, I don't know, if it's JP Morgan Asset Management will come in, you know, and if you think that that's an area that you'd like to work in once you've graduated, but perhaps not at a graduate level, could you realistically speak to them about what it's like to work in the organisation? Is there anybody else that it might be useful for you to speak to kind of get a really good idea? When it comes to making your application, can you put in your application, having spoken to John Smith at the CAS Careers Fair, I was really interested to learn that JP Morgan Asset Management are doing this. Yeah, it'll definitely add to your application. Yes, at the back.
Will this presentation be online?
Will it? I don't know.
I don't know because I'm not sure of the...
It's not, the turning point stuff's not compatible, but oh, I can do your version.
We can give version we get to Tim.
The film of this presentation will be online.
Oh God.
Ah, the film. You can buy the DVD.
Super. Yeah. So yeah, we'll try video. We can relive it again. Any other questions? Super. All right. Oh, one. Yeah.
Cool question. How can we find out who is our assigned career advisor?
Which course are you doing?
Quantitative finance.
Me. Yes. Yeah. We can give those out.
So I cover investment management, energy, shipping, supply chain. Charlie's all of the finance ones, pretty much. And one of our colleagues, Michelle, who does the actuarial, insurance and risk, and
accounting and finance.
Who is unfortunately on leave this week. We can give you her contact details as well, if anybody in the room wants to drop her a little.
And our other colleagues, so if you're wondering if you're in management or marketing, if you're wondering who looks after us, we have a colleague, Louisa, and she's actually not in at the moment, she's on maternity leave, but she'll be back by the time you get here.
Yeah, so if you have got any questions,
you can contact us,
Okay, well thank you very much for your time and your very kind attention. Hope you have a great rest of the day and hopefully see you all in September.
Do you want to clickers at the back? Oh, just leave your clickers on the desks and we'll come around and get them. Thanks.
Don't take them away.
Don't take them away, yeah.
Okay, before you go rushing off, just one thing to remind you, or to say that I forgot to tell you earlier. We've got a coffee break now until about the next session kicks off at 2:30, so you've got 40 minutes to furiously practice your networking skills. But what a lot of people do at this event now is they're looking for flatmates or housemates, people to live with during the, when you're studying here, because a lot of you will be moving to London or whatever. So we put a flip chart out in the coffee break area, and if everybody wants to leave a message like looking for a flatmate, call me on 07 whatever, or anybody, you can do it out there or whatever, okay?
Thanks very much.
Cool.